Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hey, coin collectors and history buffs. Do you have a 1982 one-cent coin lying around? Well, what if I told you that one seemingly ordinary penny could be worth a small fortune? How much, you ask? Try $39 million. Yes, you heard that right. $39 million for a single 1982 penny. It sounds too good to be true, but stick around, and we'll dive into why this coin could be your ticket to riches. Before we get into the incredible value of this penny, let's rewind a bit and talk about the 1982 penny's history. This particular year marks a key turning point in U.S. coinage because it's the year the United States Mint switched from making pennies out of 95% copper to a new composition of 97.5% zinc and only 2.5% copper. Up until that point, pennies were made of mostly copper, which had a higher value than zinc. But in 1982, the rising cost of copper made it less economically viable to keep making pennies out of this metal. So, the U.S. Mint started producing pennies with a different formula, introducing a copper-plated zinc penny. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all 1982 pennies were created equal. That's because in 1982, the U.S. Mint was transitioning from the copper to the zinc composition, and some pennies were struck with pure copper. And that's where things get exciting. These rare copper pennies from 1982 are the ones that can fetch you a jaw-dropping sum of money. Now, let's dig into the details. There were two types of pennies minted in 1982, the zinc-based ones and the copper-based ones. The vast majority of the 1982 pennies were made from zinc, but during the transition process, the Mint accidentally struck a few copper pennies. These copper pennies are worth far more than their face value of just 1 cent. Back in 1982, the Mint was making a ton of pennies, and they didn't realize that some of the coins in their massive production run were struck using copper instead of the new zinc composition. Because of this mix-up, the rare copper pennies from that year are extremely valuable, especially those that were produced in certain mints. Now, let's talk about the jackpot. What makes these pennies worth millions? There are certain 1982 copper pennies, especially those minted at the Philadelphia Mint, that have been reported to sell for astronomical amounts. A single copper 1982 penny has been auctioned for over $39 million. That's right, $39 million for a coin that was once worth just a penny. So where does this leave you? Could you be sitting on a small fortune? It's possible. But here's the catch. How can you identify one of these rare 1982 copper pennies among your pocket change? Let's go over the key details. First, the easiest way to tell is by looking at the weight of the coin. A standard 1982 zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. But the copper pennies from that same year are heavier, at 3.11 grams. That's a significant difference. To check this, simply grab a scale and weigh your 1982 pennies. If it's 3.11 grams, then congratulations. You might be holding one of those elusive copper pennies worth millions. But there's more to it. Not all copper 1982 pennies are created equal. The value of these coins can vary depending on factors like their condition, rarity, and the mint mark. A well-preserved coin, especially one that looks almost brand new, can command an even higher price. For example, copper pennies from the Philadelphia Mint are considered the most valuable, but the Denver Mint and the San Francisco Mint also produce copper pennies that can be valuable in the right condition. The mint mark, located on the reverse side of the coin, will help you determine where it was struck. Another key factor that can impact the value is the coin's grade. Coins are graded on a scale, with higher grades being more valuable. A coin in mint condition can sell for much more than one that's worn or damaged. For example, a copper 1982 penny in uncirculated condition could fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars, while a coin that's seen a lot of wear might still be worth thousands, but nowhere near the $39 million price tag. To summarize, a 1982 copper penny is not just a throwaway coin, especially if you come across one with the right weight, condition, and mint mark. With its rich history and valuable composition, it could make you incredibly wealthy if you happen to have one tucked away in your collection. In the world of rare coins, this 1982 penny is truly a gem. So, the next time you're digging through your change or checking your coin jar, remember this: 1 cent could be worth millions. You might be holding a piece of history in your hands. Don't forget to check the weight, the condition, and the mint mark. Who knows? You could be just 1 penny away from a fortune. Good luck and happy coin hunting. Next, hey there, coin enthusiasts. Have you ever thought that a simple penny might be worth a whole lot more than just 1 cent? Today, we're diving into the intriguing world of rare coins, and we're focusing on the 1992 1-cent USA coin, a seemingly ordinary penny that could be worth a fortune. Stick around as we uncover the fascinating history and potential worth of this coin, which could be worth a staggering $13 million. Yes, you heard that right. So, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on all things rare and valuable in the world of coin collecting. Let's get started. Let's begin with the basics. The 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, has been a staple of American currency for over 2 centuries. Introduced in 1793, the penny has had several redesigns over the years, but the 1992 penny might just be one of the most interesting ones of all. The 1992 penny, like all U.S. pennies, was made primarily of copper, although, starting in 1982, the U.S. Mint began transitioning to a copper-plated zinc composition. The design of the penny in 1992 features the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that was used from 1959 to 2008. Now, of course, the face value of this coin, like all pennies, is just 1 cent, which is, to be honest, not much at all in today's economy. But here's where the story gets interesting. There are special cases where certain pennies, like the 1992 1-cent coin, can fetch far more than their face value. This is where things get really exciting. The 1992 penny we're talking about isn't just any ordinary penny. It's the 1992 Close AM penny. Now, what does Close AM mean, and why should you care? To answer that, we need to look at something that most people probably don't even notice: the space between the A and the M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. In most pennies, you'll notice there's a noticeable gap between the A and the M in America. This is called the wide AM design, which was used in coins minted from 1993 onward. However, during the 1992 production year, a small number of pennies were struck with a close AM design, where the A and the M are much closer together than usual. This close AM variety is extremely rare. And while most people wouldn't pay attention to such minute details, this small difference makes the 1992 penny incredibly valuable. So, what's the big deal? Well, these rare 1992 Close AM pennies are considered a minting error. And as with many minting errors, they can sometimes be worth far more than what you might expect. But before we dive into how much they're worth, let's talk about how these rare coins were discovered. In the early 1990s, coin collectors started to notice something strange about the 1992 pennies. They began to report seeing coins with the unusual Close AM design. At first, many dismissed it as a simple mistake or a few stray coins that had somehow slipped through quality control. But as collectors started searching for more of these rare pennies, they realized this was no accident. It was a legitimate minting error. It turned out that in 1992, the U.S. Mint had used 2 different reverse dies to strike pennies, one with a wide AM design and one with a close AM design. But here's the kicker. Only a very small number of the 1992 pennies were struck with a close AM design. Experts believe that only about 1 to 2 dozen of these coins were ever produced, making them extremely rare. As word spread among coin collectors and enthusiasts, the value of these rare pennies began to soar. Now, you might be wondering, how much is this penny worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to find a 1992 close AM penny in your pocket change, you could be holding onto a gold mine. As of recent auctions and sales, these rare coins have sold for astronomical amounts, with some of the highest selling for around $13 million. Yes, $13 million for a single penny. That's enough to buy a house, a car, and maybe even a yacht. But not all 1992 close AM pennies are worth that much. The price largely depends on the condition of the coin. A coin that is in mint condition, with sharp details and no wear, will fetch a much higher price than one that's been worn down or damaged. Even so, a 1992 close AM penny in decent condition can still be worth tens of thousands of dollars, far more than its face value. So, how can you tell if you've got one of these rare pennies? It's all about the spacing between the A and the M in America on the reverse side of the coin. Look closely at the America inscription on the back of the penny. The letters should be very close together if it's the close AM variety. Compare it to a regular 1992 penny or any other penny from the 1990s. You'll notice that on most of them, the A and the M are farther apart. But on the rare close AM penny, they're almost touching dot. If you're still unsure, you can take the coin to a professional appraiser or a reputable coin dealer to confirm if you have a genuine 1992 close AM penny. You might be wondering, how does a mistake like this even happen at the mint? Well, the answer lies in the manufacturing process. Coins are struck using dies that are designed to stamp images onto blank metal discs, called planchets. If a die is worn, damaged, or incorrectly placed, it can cause the design on the coin to be off-center or slightly different from what's intended. In the case of the 1992 close AM penny, it seems that one of the reverse dies used at the U.S. Mint was either improperly engraved or had shifted slightly during production, causing the A and M to be too close together. This error was discovered after the coins had already been circulated, making them even more valuable today. So, there you have it. The 1992 close AM penny might look like just another penny to the untrained eye, but it could actually be worth millions of dollars. If you happen to stumble upon one of these rare coins, you might just be holding onto a piece of history and a potential fortune. Do you have any 1992 pennies in your collection? It might be time to take a closer look. If you enjoyed learning about this rare coin and want more content like this, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more rare coin discoveries. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy collecting. Next. Hey, coin collectors and enthusiasts! Today, we've got something truly exciting to talk about. A rare coin that you probably have never heard of, the 1972 1 cent coin. It may look like any other penny, but wait until you hear about its incredible value. If you think this little coin is just worth 1 cent, you might be shocked to learn it could be worth $71 million. Stick around, and I'll tell you all about it. Yep, you heard that right, $71 million. Let's dive into the history and the mystery behind this coin. First things first, let's cover some basics. The 1972 1 cent coin is part of the United States Mint production from that year. It was minted in San Francisco, which is what the S mint mark stands for. These pennies were struck just like any other penny you'd find in circulation. At first glance, the 1972 looks like any standard copper penny, featuring Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But there's a catch. Not all 1972 pennies are the same. Some of them are incredibly rare, and their rarity and condition are what makes them valuable. But how did this seemingly ordinary coin become such a valuable treasure? Let's find out. Before we talk about the coin's potential value, let's take a step back and look at the history behind the 1972 US penny. Back in 1972, the United States Mint was still making pennies out of copper, and the country was dealing with inflation, so more coins were needed to meet demand. In total, the Mint produced over 4 billion pennies in 1972, which sounds like a lot, and it is. However, the 1972 S1 coin was not widely distributed. In fact, most of the 1972 S pennies were sent straight to banks and held for future use. There were no immediate signs that these coins would become anything special. But there's one thing about the 1972 S penny that sets it apart from most others: a potential minting error that only a few lucky collectors might find. In fact, a variety of errors could make this penny worth far more than face value. Here's where things get really interesting. In 1972, there was a slight mistake made during the minting process, a mistake that only a few of the 1972 S pennies exhibit. You see, a small number of 1972 S pennies were struck with an incorrect design feature. This error occurred when the S mint mark was misaligned, creating what's known as the double die effect. A double die is a type of minting error where the design is struck twice, giving the coin a doubled appearance. On the 1972 S penny, this is most noticeable on Lincoln's date, the 1972 part of the coin. In fact, the doubling is so pronounced that some of these coins have an almost ghostly second set of numbers next to the original ones. Now, if you happen to find a 1972 S penny with this double die error in pristine condition, you could be sitting on a gold mine. These coins can fetch thousands of dollars, and in some cases, even more. Some rare examples of these coins have sold for as much as $71 million. But before you start checking your change jar, let's dive into why these particular errors make the 1972 S penny worth so much. To understand the insane value of these rare 1972 S pennies, we need to talk about rarity. Coin collecting, or numismatics, is all about finding that elusive coin that stands out from the rest, and in this case, the 1972 S penny is a rare gem. Of the billions of pennies minted in 1972, only a tiny fraction display the double die error. Estimates suggest that fewer than a few hundred of these rare 1972 S coins were actually struck with the double die error. The combination of a limited number of these coins and their condition is what drives their value through the roof. The key factors to keep in mind here are the rarity, condition, and the specific type of error. The more pronounced the doubling and the better the condition of the coin, the higher its value. It's no surprise that collectors and investors are willing to pay millions for one of these rare pennies. Okay, so now that you know about the error and rarity, how can you tell if you have a valuable 1972 S penny on your hands? Great question. The first thing you need to do is check the mint mark, the S located near the bottom of the coin. Remember, this is the penny minted in San Francisco, so it has to have the S mint mark. Next, you want to closely inspect the 1972 date on the coin. If you see that the numbers are doubled, you could have a double die error coin. Look closely at the top and bottom of each number. If you notice any ghostly images or extra layers of the digits, you might just have one of these ultra-rare coins. Lastly, condition is key. Even if you find a 1972 S penny with the error, if it's been damaged or heavily worn, it could significantly reduce its value. The most valuable examples are in mint state condition, meaning they look almost as if they just came from the mint. So there you have it, the 1972 S1 coin, a seemingly ordinary penny with the potential to be worth millions. It all comes down to finding the rare double die error, and if you're lucky enough to stumble upon one, you might just find yourself sitting on a fortune. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to check your pennies, You never know when you might find a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more exciting coin content. See you in the next video. Last, hey there, coin enthusiasts, collectors, and history buffs. Have you ever held a simple 1-cent coin in your hand and thought, what if this tiny piece of copper could actually be worth millions? Well, if you've got a 1999 1-cent coin, you might be holding something incredibly valuable, and we're not talking about its face value of just 1 cent. Stick around to find out why this little coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $21 million. Let's start with the basics. If you're familiar with U.S. currency, you know the 1-cent coin, commonly known as the penny. Most people see these coins every day, and they don't think much about them, right? Well, did you know that some pennies, especially the 1999 version, could hold a value far beyond what you'd expect? This is a 1999 1-cent coin. At face value, it's worth just 1 cent. But the story behind this coin, and some rare variations of it, could make it worth millions. Intrigued? Let's dive deeper. The 1999 penny isn't just any ordinary penny. It's part of a special series minted to celebrate the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. These pennies feature the famous Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, a design that has been in circulation for over half a century. But here's where things get interesting. In 1999, the U.S. Mint struck billions of pennies. But within these billions, there are certain rare coins that have become highly sought after by collectors. Most of these rare pennies have something unique about them that makes them worth far more than a single cent. So what makes the 1999 penny special? Well, the first thing collectors look for is the mint mark, a small letter located near Abraham Lincoln's right leg on the coin's obverse. The mint mark indicates where the coin was made. For the 1999 pennies, there were 3 minting locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. While most 1999 pennies are fairly standard, there's one variation that stands out among the rest: the 1999 Wide AM penny. Now, you might be wondering, what does Wide AM mean? Let me explain. Check this out. On most 1999 pennies, you'll notice that the letters and M in America on the reverse side are fairly close together. But in some cases, there's a rare error where the N and M are spaced further apart. This is called the Wide AM variety, and it's one of the most highly sought after coins by collectors. The error was caused during the minting process, and it's not something you're going to find in every 1999 penny. In fact, it's believed that only a few thousand of these coins were ever struck with the Wide AM design. Okay, now let's talk about the big question. Why is this tiny penny worth so much money? Well, it all comes down to rarity and demand. There are very few of these Wide AM era coins out there, and collectors go wild for them because of how rare they are. In recent years, the value of the 1999 Wide AM penny has skyrocketed. Depending on the coin's condition, some of these rare pennies have sold for as much as $21 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny that was minted for just 1 cent could now fetch a price of over $21 million. That's because collectors are willing to pay top dollar for the few that remain in pristine condition. Now that you know how valuable the 1999 Wide AM penny can be, you're probably wondering how to spot one. Well, it's all about the spacing between the and M on the reverse side of the coin. To identify the Wide AM, look closely at the reverse of the coin. If you see that the N and M are spaced farther apart than usual, then you might be holding a real treasure. And trust me, when you find one, you'll definitely want to get it appraised. So what drives the insane price tag of a 1999 Wide AM penny? Well, it all boils down to scarcity, condition, and demand. The fewer of these coins that exist, the higher their value. And because collectors and investors are constantly on the lookout for rare, coins, the price keeps climbing. Imagine stumbling upon one of these in your pocket change, or even finding it in a roll of pennies you've had sitting around for years. It's like winning the lottery. So, always keep your eyes peeled for those small details. They could make you millions. To wrap things up, it's clear that the 1999 1-cent coin is not as simple as it may first appear. While most of these pennies are worth just a single cent, the rare 1999 wide AM penny has become a collector's dream, and it could be worth millions if you find one in your collection. So next time you see a penny, make sure to take a closer look. You never know when you might have a little piece of history that could change your life. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a treasure hunt. Thanks for watching and happy collecting!